Hi, welcome to Bake to the Future, the show where we examine what is happening in the baking industry with a future-focused lens. I'm Haley Blumenreich.
And I'm Katie Jewell.
We are bringing you a special episode with IBIE Premium Allied member Puratos.
Puratos is a global bakery ingredient supply company based in Belgium with customers in more than 100 countries around the world. Today, we are recording from IBIE, the International Baking Industry Exposition, where we're having the chance to sit down with Puratos CEO Pierre Tossut and Chief Marketing and Channels Officer Sophie Blum. Guys, we're in person. This is exciting. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to be with you.
Yeah, no, this is great. Oh, so I know that we have a laundry list of things that we're going to ask, but Haley and I do like to ask the hard questions first. We'll start with you. What's your favorite baked good?
A good sourdough baguette.
Okay.
With butter.
With butter. Okay, good. I like the specifics on that. How about you, Sophie?
It's going to be also a bread. And it's going to be a bread with sprouted grains. Okay, with a nice texture and a bit of a crunchy outside.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for answering our toughest question. So we'll move on from there. And we just want to get to know both of you a little bit. So maybe, Pierre, you can start us off and kind of tell us what brought you to the CEO position at Puratos and maybe like a little bit of background about you.
Okay, so I started in Puratos 27 years ago. And I started in research and development, developing the sourdough expertise in the group and the fermentation. So I introduced it in the company, which I did for a number of years before moving into other business areas, just sweet goods, patisserie, chocolate, sales also. And that's what gradually led me to take over since the 1st of January of this year, the position of CEO. What also I did along all these years is travel the world very intensively to discover the traditions of baking, to understand also what the customers like and what they need in their daily work. And this helped me obviously to connect the innovation, try to find solution to answer their needs. And I'm a firm believer that the way to solve the society challenges is the innovation. It's with the innovation we will find solutions to the climate issues, to the lack of skilled labor in the industry, to the demography issues, and also to find new nutritious products and so on and so forth. So I'm really a believer that understanding well the needs of the consumer and the market and link it with relevant innovations is the way to go.
And so you started in the science.
I started more in the science.
You know, everybody kind of has their origin story of how they get to that point. And so what was it then?
So I was, my family was in the business of fruit imports. And so I was always fascinated by fruit, but also food in general. And then, I started to study in that area. And then I came to the food industry later on. But that was, I believe, the reason why I took that direction in my career.
Very cool. Sophie, tell us your story about how you got to where you are now.
So overall, I'm a marketeer, so I've grown up in the world of, in the consumer good world. And in a world where, you have the pressure of the consumer purchasing or not the product every day. In fact, learning and understanding their needs, their expectation is the name of the game in order to be able to be ahead. So I've grown up, I would say in this type of world for a few decades, and then enriched it with, of course, global presence and traveling the world in order to understand the diversity of the expectation of consumer all over, and also different type of fields. So what consumer like in goods, but also what type of customer are using the type of products. I joined Puratos not so long ago. Just 2 years. And in fact, what has definitely driven me is 3 main things. The first one is the human adventure. We are a family business, and I think that's a bit more than 100 years, and that's fascinating and inspiring. The second one is we work on probably one of the biggest challenge in society, and where we can have a true impact. Pierre was referring a bit about some of those, but food is definitely one of the main challenges. And I think the last one is, the ambition of the company. It's to be able, to have a meaningful contribution and to be successful. So that's and the way I do that, my own way, is through tech and digital and data. So I'm a tech girl, and I've spent a few years in tech. So the way to address and to answer what Pierre wants in terms of innovation is to bring it to the digital world, to try to find a solution and to bring it back in order to move forward. So that's a bit my story.
It's both of you guys have very kind of, I would call it technical, like tech, you're very into technology and you're with the R&D. And so I know, what is it, the Taste Tomorrow initiative. Can you talk a little bit about that? I just have my bullet points here, so you're really going to have to break it down for us.
No problem. Taste Tomorrow. So a true inspiration. I think it all started by, as we were saying, at the end of the day, what really matters is to make sure that you understand the end user. And that you understand his or her need, expectation, but also in a way that is deep enough to be able to be ahead, to surprise, to be surprisingly, I would say, bringing taste or texture that are unexpected to the user, but still he will accept and he will like. So Taste Tomorrow was born a little bit more than a decade ago with a crazy thought to survey, the world consumers. Let's put it in a very simple term. So as fascinating of more than 40 countries, a few tens of languages, just simply understanding, of course, in the field of our expertise, which is bakery, patisserie, and chocolate, what do they want and expect? And then over the years, we talked a little bit about innovation and tech. Over the years, and especially in the last year, we have complemented that with leveraging artificial intelligence and specifically on semantic in order to really understand 24/7 what consumers are talking about. And how this can give us, I would say, signal trends that then we, I would say, modelize in order to know if this is going and predict and have predictive modeling in order to know will it be a big trend or not. Sourdough, Pierre is an expert on sourdough. Sourdough was a trend since 2014. You would say, it's very old. Now, if we would have, I would say, this type of understanding, the sourdough trend went, I would say, up, plateau, a bit down, a bit plateau, a bit up, plateau. But all in all, was always growing. It's growing. And today, this is the second biggest conversational, I would say, topic in the US. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's pretty, I would say, impressive. So that's a little bit about Taste Tomorrow, the way this is ingrained into the way we understand consumer, the way we feed innovation, the way we feed also our content and interaction with our customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that really is interesting to me because the podcast is baked to the future. So we're very future focused. And we know that you all are also looking at what's that next thing, making sure that you are on the trends and not just the current trends, but on what's coming up next. And so I think that also kind of relates to the sustainability angle. And I want to hear about you, Pierre. You talk about how Puratos is kind of leveraging your sustainability mission with how that actually looks like as you implement it into the company.
So maybe I would start by repeating our purpose. We move the planet forward by creating innovative food solutions for the health and well-being of people everywhere. And in there, we of course embed all the sustainability approach. Let's call it ESG. So there are different pillars in there. Maybe I will elaborate a bit more the aspect on the planet. So what we want to do is obviously reduce the impact that our company has on the environment. Namely reducing, of course, the CO2 emissions of our factories and also our activities. And then we speak about scope 1 and 2 for those who have more, let's say, understanding of what it is. But we also see that there is a part of the CO2 that is in the rest of the value chain where we also impact. And so there we believe that we should be working collaboratively with the different actors in the value chain, which we invite, by the way, to join us in the journey, meaning from the grain to the final baked bread, there are a lot of losses, with the waste that we can help reducing. There are also the fertilizers that are, let's say, emitting a lot of CO2 that we can reduce and optimize the usage and so on. And so we have engaged in that journey. We are exploring also the technique of regenerative agriculture, which we go back a bit to the techniques that the ancients were using, where in fact you use much less fertilizers and you always cover the land and you reduce the mechanization and so on, but still having good yields and with less emissions of CO2. So we really engaged with different stakeholders in the value chain to get the CO2 emissions down in the value chain. So that's one part. And there is obviously the water aspect, where we have a whole program to reduce the consumption of water, optimize, purify the water before releasing it in the rivers afterwards. So this is really a very compelling project that we have. So that's around the planet. Obviously, there's also a big part. We also have a pillar that is called health and well-being, where we take care of the health and well-being of our employees, but also we develop a lot of solutions for consumers to help them eating more of breads with fibers, more fruit, less salt, less fat, less sugar, and so on and so forth. And so this is also our contribution at the end to the society in helping people to eat more balanced diet. So we provide a lot of information. We develop apps. We have developed an app, Nutri app, that we can provide to our customers to help them to really understand the drivers of the calories in their products and to improve the nutrition profile of the baked goods. So all kind of goods and services to help our customers themselves to reduce their impact on the environment, but also to improve the nutritionalness of their products.
Where would you say is who is the driver of you kind of like finding all this out and also kind of finding those like solutions? Is it coming from internally from Puratos, or is it coming from the end consumer, or is it coming from like where in
customers kind of?
So we get a lot of insights from Taste Tomorrow, but we also get a lot of insights from the customers themselves.
Yeah.
Out of that, part of our developments come from there, but we also have people that are developing more disruptive projects that are sometimes not coming from an expressed need from the user, but really because we want to go one step further.
Yeah.
Like the Nutri app, we didn't really get any kind of request for that, but we thought, okay, if we would be a baker, maybe we would need a tool in order to optimize the profiles. What can we do to help them? And we developed the app. So it was not directly requested, but we proactively developed it, and then now we share it with the customers. And actually, we are showcasing it at our booth at IBIE.
Yes,
That's really
as
exciting.
a prototype, absolutely. And I think, it's a full ecosystem. So the insights are coming from few angles, but also from, you've put in place external partnerships and the networks with startups, with universities, with experts and professors. And it's this richness of, I would say, insights and inputs that can allow us to really stay at the forefront of not only what is needed, but what is going to be allowing us to have this, I would say, meaningful impact where it matters the most. Pierre referred to the purpose, and in fact, as I told you, it's pretty bold for a company like ours to start the first sentence of the purpose with, we move the planet forward. But there is a reason behind. It's, in fact, we don't take our responsibility lightly. And I think that's also translating into how many input we try to take together and complement each other to be able to bring an innovation.
No, it's very like holistic and wholesome. And I feel like your guys' approach is very startup-y, also in nature. You're like, you know what, this is the mission and this is what drives everything that we're doing. Yeah. And what can we do that's different to kind of keep moving that forward? And
we also operate still like a startup because we like to try things. If an idea pops up, we try the Nutri app, we tried it, and then we took it back, we improved it, and we pivot if we need to adapt it and so on. But by trying things, you find innovation. And so we have that culture of entrepreneurship and try new things. And we try also to to make sure our teams understand that they can take initiative, and sometimes we fail, but okay, that's the game of innovation.
And I will give you an example on this one. We agreed, we identified that there were some new services on digital that were like the Nutria Pierre is talking about that are very important. Then we really created this kind of digital innovation funnel where you have a permanent feed of new ideas. You can have plenty of those. You test at very small scale, very fast, to fail very fast, and be able to know, is it an assumption that is validated or not? And then to go on. This is a good example of also how we try to attract young talent and to always be, I would say, at the forefront of new tools and new experiments, even organizational experiment, so that it's interesting also to join us and to work with Puratos. Because you may argue sometimes, it's a traditional industry. I would say no. It's an industry that is permanently being disrupted and that is really looking for the next thing. And it's important to also to explain that to people that can, young people or students that are going out of university.
University, and I think younger than that. So a few weeks ago, I went to the Puratos Bakery School US in New Jersey, and you have these schools all over the world. I know right before we were recording, you were showing us some amazing videos. So can you talk a little bit about the background of the bakery school, how it came to be, and what is the outlook?
It started with one of our colleagues traveling to India and seeing many kids, living in very difficult conditions, not having the opportunity to study. And on the other hand, a very drastic need for skilled labor into the bakeries we were dealing with. And so that person came back and said, okay, why don't we launch a bakery school? So that was the first project that we did.
Is this part of that whole DNA, like what you were just describing of like, hey, is there something here?
Yeah, so
is this
we tried.
That we need to look into?
Exactly. So we immediately tried. So we found an existing school. We built an extension of the school. We brought the equipment and the teachers. And so the kids are going and following the regular lessons like English courses, mathematics, and so on. And in the afternoon, they would come and bake, and also the Saturday morning sometimes. And they would learn on a program of 3 years to become a baker. And once they finished, they received a diploma or a certificate to certify the studies. And then they find a job either in Puratos or at our customers or somewhere else in the industry. Some of them dream to start their business, but we always advise them to gain a little bit of experience before going straight to creating a business. And so we started in India, then we went to Brazil, then we went to Mexico, we went to South Africa. We have now, I think we are at the eighth bakery school. We're going to have around 380 students in total studying. The objective is to go and have 1,000 students on a permanent base that we trained all over the world. So it's quite an interesting journey, and it creates a lot of passion in the company because our employees see also, let's say, those kids evolve. We bring back the videos that they can see what they say, and that's very exciting. It's a very exciting project, and we're very surprised. I was in South Africa recently, and I saw what the kids can do. After only 6 months of training, they can already do fantastic cakes. They can even sell them and explain them to the consumers that are going to buy them. So it's really fantastic to see the quality of the training and the quality of the result, obviously.
And what is interesting for our employee also, you have spontaneous requests to contribute. So in one of the team on our e-business, so one of the team member came to me and said, I want to contribute. So I have a skill on digital. Can I come? So she created a full curriculum and module that now she is teaching. So I think it's completely blended into what also the employee can contribute with their own skills.
Yes, and I should also add that so for instance, in South Africa, the kids arrive at around 2 p.m. at the school. The first thing we do, we give them a good meal, because they have to work until 7 at night. And so they get a good meal. So when they go home later, maybe they have a sandwich or whatever, but they had at least a good meal during the day. And it creates a lot of enthusiasm also.
Absolutely.
We see them developing really exponentially. It's really amazing to see.
And so who was it that first came up with the idea, and are they still...
One of the person. Yeah. I think what is important is there is room for entrepreneurship. If you have an idea that is there and there seems to be some opportunity out there, we're ready to listen and to give the necessary support to try the idea. Yeah. I think that's the main takeaway. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that it's so common nowadays.
Yeah, you all make it sound very exciting, I have to say.
So maybe you can come and teach to the school on a specific module.
Yeah, I would love to.
I can write really well, and I'm a comms person, but maybe I could benefit from taking a module.
Maybe I could participate. It sounds fun.
I'll teach them how to talk.
So again, and actually that's a very good skill to have, in business and in life. But let's say we're sitting here 3 years from now at the next IBIE. We're all about the future. What are we going to be talking about then with Puratos or in general?
We're going to talk about new products, I believe. We're going to bring new technologies. It is ongoing, by the way. And I think we're going to talk about technology, digital tools. We're going to talk about new services, not only products. We dream to be able to offer training services, to train labor in the factories and so on. So we're working on all these topics still at the beginning, but so we really try to understand how can we help the baking industry to continue to grow and support it in its challenges.
And it seems like it's a full, soup to nuts sort of, you work with your customers in a number of, the idea is that then you would work with your customers even more.
Yes. And so I think the word collaboration is in our values and in our principles. We really want to extend the collaboration with the bakers, with our suppliers, with everybody that wants to participate in the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
To really move together the bakery planet forward. That's really the aim, and we wake up in the morning for that purpose.
And I think in 3 years from now, I know it's a bit stretched, but we would definitely have built an image as an industry altogether as really the place to be. Really the industry where people want to join because it's modern, because it's digital, because it gives opportunity not only to do, but to give back. So together, as an industry, we would have made the first very concrete step for our industry. I think that's definitely, I get the fact that it's very stretched, but I think I want, it's a call to action. It's a call to action together. Yes, baking is cool. It's the next big thing. And there are plenty of, I would say, very inspiring type of job that we can offer throughout. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they just need to stop by the Puratos booth at IBIE, the Artisan Marketplace. So fun. And I feel like I learned a lot just walking around there, talking to the Puratos people there. So
yeah, when I came yesterday, they were making all the bread that they then placed out on the shelves. And it was a delight.
Yes. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share with our audience on the podcast that we haven't touched on?
No, I think...
Thank you for the opportunity to share who we are, what we do, and the reasons why we do what we do. And really, again, inviting whoever wants to collaborate with us to join us in that journey.
Yeah, so much positive energy I feel coming from you guys that I think, in the last several years, we haven't been able to do it in person. And, just being around you guys, I can feel it's very palpable, the kind of positive energy. And I love the name of your guys' podcast. We've been on your podcast as well. Yes. The Epicurean Unicorn.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's very, very fantastical. So I love that.
Yes. So I guess with that, we'll wrap up.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us. It was a pleasure.
Yes. And I'll let our listeners know that they can let us know what they thought of the show by emailing hello@americanbakers.org or leave us a voicemail at baketothefuture.org. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts: Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, or Ghana.